Mongoose Jake here with what is actually a top tier battle in the Panzer IV's. That's rare to see anymore. But I find myself on the Mountain Pass map here, and when top tier, this thing actually can play more like a hold down heavy. It's kind of slow like a heavy. It has very good turret armor, especially when top tier, and the gun is always as reliable as ever. That's actually what makes this basically a great tank no matter what tiering you find yourself in, is that gun. The turret's still decently good, even in a tier 7 battle. Tier 8s will punch straight through it, but for the most part, it has to play at long range. So this rare top tier battle for it, I can actually play more like a brawling medium, because I have the DPM, and as a top tier tank, the alpha's actually competitive, which normally it's not. The 7.5 L70 is all about the accuracy, the reliable 150 millimeters of AP pen, and the consistent rate of fire. As you see here, I actually got to bounce off the side of my turret with a quick auto aim to return fire to the Type T-34. Now, this here is where you can see that the alpha actually is decent. He's hitting me for roughly the average of 85 damage, whereas I'm returning with the average of 130. So I'm going to out damage him, and as you see, he took more than enough damage to put him down to half health. And at this point also, the 135 average damage is enough to track people with one shot. Whereas if you're firing at tier 8s, you're having to fire 2 and 3 shots because tracks have health. Each track on each tank has its own health point pool. And this is something you have to look at somewhere like tanks.gg to see. But like the P2640, its track health might only be 90. Whereas something like an IS-3 might have 250 track health. And the penetration, of course, in this kind of battle is enough to go through one side of the tank and completely out the other. So I will not have to fire a single shot of premium, and nobody ever should at this tier. But gameplay wise, I was able basically to push forward without a care. And I've already bounced a couple shots, and this is already what you would call a solid game. Now on Mountain Pass, if you do win the southwest corner, never actually try to push northeast from there. I see my teammates are, but you don't, because you're spotted the moment you break cover at the G1 location. You break cover from there and try to drive towards the enemy base, you get spotted from the sniper position at C23. And those points, you can be spotted. All somebody has to do is be either running optics or binoculars, and it doesn't even matter the type of vehicle. So instead, drop down here so you can close the distance. That way, if they fire, you'll spot them in return. Something like the KB220-2, he's not going to spot anybody who's shooting at him. So he's under fire, and he's not going to be able to return fire. Here, you see now it's just a T6 medium, but as soon as he fired, I believe it would be me. I don't think the Panzer SFL-4C, I don't believe he was going to spot him in return. I probably got the spotting off of that. But right here, the Semavente, he's not going to survive that, because now we've got him in a crossfire, which is another benefit of dropping down and then coming up from this direction, is that they can't just simply sit in one position and focus on staying concealed and in cover from the push coming up from the southwest to the northeast. You know, they have to now focus on two different directions. Now, if we had somebody who was sitting on the bridge and able to return fire, the KV-1S wouldn't be able to sit where he is now, but unfortunately our teammate that was there died a long time ago. And as a tidbit for the map, never play the northeast. The so-called ice road, there's no reason to ever throw your tanks away in that area. It's too easy to defend from either direction, especially if you're trying to push up from the southeast spawn, pushing up it to the north. There is no reason to ever attempt that. But this is basically a straightforward mop-up operation for the Panzer IV's. I can auto-aim with the 150 pen that this gun has. I can auto-aim at every target and not have a care in the world. And it's rare to get that feeling. Normally as a tier 6, you end up fighting tier 8s non-stop. Now, I get spotted, of course, and I'm suspicious of their artillery being in the trees to my left. So that's why I was glancing that direction. Now, I don't really intend to cap, but I am going to try to draw them out. And again, this is where that turret comes into play. The turret, the Schmalturm, is the same one that the Panther at tier 7 has, and it is a durable turret. The front is pretty immune to most tier 5, 6, and even most tier 7 guns. Tier 8s, again, will give it some trouble, but the 40 TP, he's going to have to look for a shot at my hull if he wants a reliable chance to pen, because, of course, the hull of the Panzer IV's is a straightforward Panzer IVH with the Schürzen instead of the actual full-on side skirts, and the mesh type Schürzen don't provide it hardly any protection. I think they're modeled as a couple millimeters worth of spaced armor. But I decided to finally push in because the 40 TP is the last one left alive, and moving in just to basically secure whatever damage I can land on him and maybe help keep him from killing the IKV beside me. And he does decide to shoot me, but that finished out the game because the IKV gets a free hit, and basically I played good teammate at that point. Was an ace. I got a couple of ribbons. Also got the Confederate and the high caliber. Did over 2,500 damage. Snagged a few kills. Got a little bit of assistance and block damage to finish out with a very nice 1,240 base experience. But hopefully it was an enjoyable but rare top tier battle in a tier 6. No tier 8s present. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.